Welcome back to Improvision Entertainment. My name is Huntermun, and this is more of Euro Truck Simulator 2. It is the same recording session as the last recording, but we've got some more people here in the chat, and also we are going out of our way to travel routes we have not traveled before, through cities we have not traveled before, on a delivery that shouldn't take that long to do. Monsieur Balaise says, there will always be truck stop folks to spend time with. Sure. I do need to pick up gas. Yes, YouTube is watching sometime in the future. If YouTube ever wants to catch live, that'll be twitch.tv/Huntermun. Hopefully I'm still doing this when they hear that message. Oh man, that is a lot of traffic. Okay, I think I can make it. Welcome on shore. What brings you to the chat, by the way?
And then turn right.
I've noticed that it doesn't seem like as many people are playing Euro Truck in recent days as was when I was playing this a year ago. But that might have something to do with them not having an expansion recently because they had to postpone Russia. I do have a sore throat, so I'm trying to talk a little bit less. But if chat's talking to me, then I will do so.
Go straight on.
Game seems in a permanent state of decline. I mean, I don't know. It just got an update recently, so they're still in expanding the engine and changing up some of the cities and making new locations. You pop in to keep track of the game? Well, 1.45 just came out this past week, so I presume in preparation for Montana coming out in ATS this week, actually tomorrow? No, 2 days from now. So I'm not really in touch? Okay. Well, the Russian expansion has been delayed without proposed when that's going to happen because they were 4 to 6 weeks of like being able to polish it up and put it out, and then they went to war with Ukraine. Will there be a China expansion? I imagine you'd have to do China in stages, if I'm being totally honest. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was a China expansion. They are... I would actually kind of expect there to be a Ukraine expansion before there's a China expansion. Because Ukraine is just barely to the right of where a lot of the map is uncovered. The last one they put out was last year when I was originally playing this game, which was Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal. And like I said, Russia was supposed to be out like 2 months ago, but they've had to delay it because of the war. Whereas American Truck Simulator is getting Montana on Thursday. So they kind of go back and forth. Why would the war delay it? Because they didn't want to be seen as like capitalizing on the war to sell an expansion in the aggressor of the war that is happening, of the countries that are involved. Because the next expansion was about Russia, or at least the western side of Russia, which is why it was called Heart of Russia. Because I imagine it was going to be like Moscow and everything like on the western side of the country with Moscow, and they didn't want to be seen as, you know, making money off the war. It happens with wars. It's happened in the past. I mean, it's happened with. That's the same reason that Advanced Wars Reboot Camp didn't come out, is because, and I think also why Metal Slug didn't come out, Metal Slug Tactics, because each of those games are about warfare, and especially for Japanese companies really seem to take it to heart when stuff could be seen incorrectly as endorsing like warfare at the wrong time. Same kind of stuff happened around movies and television shows involving 9/11. It's the original reason that Duke Nukem Forever got postponed forever. Is its final levels happened in the World Trade Center, and then while it was in development, the World Trade Centers were terrorist attacked. So it can be, you know, a number of reasons, as it were. Huh. There's a logging truck over there actually logging. I'm not used to there being animations on the side of the road. That's kind of neat. They're probably just, you know, moving the logs back and forth, but still, it's good additional detail.
At the roundabout, take the second exit. Exit now.
Don't hit me. I think they are selling paint jobs for Ukrainian painted trucks, though. So I don't. I mean, you know, it's lose-lose when you do something like that or not do something like that. Same kind of stuff happened last year when World of Trucks did a big event where they were shipping vaccines across America in American Truck Simulator. Possibly Euro Truck, I don't remember. And, you know, anti-vaxxers over here were all like, oh, it was games getting political, yada yada. I'm like, first of all, you don't care. And secondly, stop acting like you do care and ruining it for everybody else. Wanting people to be healthy and not die shouldn't be political. I would like a Ukrainian one driving through the war with bombs going off. Well, I mean, to your point, I've wanted to drive into the Middle East where Palestine and Israel are for the same reason, because Israel is just bombing the shit out of Palestine all the time. Like, I'm like, what is shipping there? Like, would you have to start adding environmental sounds to concussive blasts that hit off in the distance, even if they weren't impacting the road you were on? Then again, it could, right? They could have events like this is an event right here. Vehicle stuck on the side of the road, pulled over by a cop or something like that. Like, they give it events in the Palestinian area where a building has been hit and has caused like a debris on the side of the road, so you have to go over to one lane for a second. But I mean, a lot of companies like to tiptoe around that stuff and not include it in their games. Really just depends. I wouldn't. I'm currently working on a couple of games with a couple of ideas and stuff. We'll see how those go. They're not going well right now. They're all pretty much stuck in pre-production. I started putting code to a couple of them, but like barely. Hardly counts. Why is there so much traffic on this 2-lane road right now? Let's double check. 13 hours of a 28-hour time period. Yeah, I got plenty of time to make this trip. I'm getting to half a tank of gas, though. I should probably pick up gas if I see a gas station. Okay, cars have pulled away from me. That is nice. But yeah, Ukraine is one of the places that isn't on the map right now, so I kind of wouldn't be surprised if they were working on Ukraine maps, but ultimately we need to know how much of Ukraine that Russia does or does not annex. And then we have to also recognize, for example, Russia tried to annex Crimea and nobody did anything about it. So do you count that Crimea as Ukraine? which it is supposed to be, or do you count it as Russia? Like, I don't know how they were going to answer that question anyway. Alright, let's see. Oh, I should say, Monsieur, might as well say it because you're here. If you think you might be back, consider following the channel, hitting the little heart icon, and also you can use !vote in the chat to bring up what is my current poll for what games you'd like to see me play on stream, of which Euro Truck Simulator 2 is currently winning, which is the primary reason I'm playing it. Or it's the primary reason I started playing it. I'm mainly playing it because I want to keep playing it now, because that's just how this goes. When I start playing Euro Truck, I want to keep playing Euro Truck for a while. I've done almost as many streams of it this year as I did of it last year, so maybe that's going to dry up soon. We'll see how it goes. Molly says that's a pretty offensive take on the Ukraine DLC. From me or from Mansour? Like, I don't think that you should. I think that's the same reason that the Russian DLC shouldn't come out, is that you don't want to encourage it because of the war. But I don't think you should make Ukraine in a state of war, because you'd have to program it that way, and then it would be stuck that way indefinitely. Monsieur says, unfortunately, I cannot be associated with Nazi sympathizer and American imperialist. I am not a Nazi sympathizer, and I am not an American imperialist. You are making a lot of weird assumptions there. Nazis are not the problem in Ukraine. Are you speaking from the Russian side of things? Because that is Russian propaganda. And as far as Nazis, well, I mean, we have lots of Nazis here in America, and I don't support any of them. Is it legally okay to punch a Nazi? No. Is it morally okay to punch a Nazi? Yes. But, Nazis being in Ukraine is Russian propaganda. That is not a real thing that's happened. The Russians are not saving the Ukrainian people from anything. They are just invading because Vladimir Putin might have cancer. He might have some condition that he is dying from, that he is still trying to unify Russia before he dies. That is my understanding of some of the rumors that are going about, the motivations as to why he's going in. He's clearly going in because he's doing it for himself and not his country and not his people, and definitely not the Ukrainian people. But as for his actual reasons why, the rumors coming out are that he's got some sort of, you know, condition. That's if you will, bumping up his timetable. Another short train. I forgot to check how long this trip was before I started. Molly has a paragraph. It says, regardless of the why and rightness of the war, a lot of my family has died in this war, so I don't want to see it in the DLC of a game. Maybe in a lifetime that isn't mine. I know wars are often put into games, but it's too soon to make any on this war. Right, oops, I do need to stop for gas. To kind of what I was saying, Molly, is like, the Ukrainian war has just happened, and it could be over soon, or it could be over not soon. I hope that my remarks about Palestine and Israel are not too insensitive, but that war has been a constant bombardment, one-sided mostly one-sided for decades. So my point about the Palestinian-Israel thing was just that is how things are there, and that would just be a realistic non-committal version of presenting the game if you went and made the DLC like that. I don't think it's appropriate to do it for Ukraine because, especially on a game design standpoint, if nothing else, if you put your game into a wartime of the country, you'd have to go through a whole process of going through patching and stuff like that to take that back out as soon as the war ends, and the war might end before you've actually greenlit the final version of your DLC. So you wouldn't do that. Right now, they could be working on DLC that is Ukraine, and as part of that, they could always edit things after the fact a little bit based upon if neighborhoods are destroyed or if exits no longer exist or if like, you know, the aftermath of war, as it were. But I don't think it would be appropriate or even in-engine a thing that would be reasonable to ask to set it so that warring content. Like I said, maybe Israel-Palestine, you're mostly out of the way. There's lots of checkpoints. Maybe you hear, like, the booming in the distance or something like that. Maybe there's a certain light to the way the sky looks. One second, this is a hefty S-curve I'm having right now. I'm in the wrong lane. Well, it says Israel being in a DLC is also too soon, considering they're still trying to take the land in the Middle East in the name of religion. Right, but I don't know that it's... Oh man, another train? I don't know that it's too soon, because it's been going on for... I don't know how long it's been going on. It's been going on since before I was born, right? Like, the Ukraine thing could be done by Christmas, for all we know. Like, we don't know how quickly Russian troops are going to give up. We don't know how much Ukrainian troops are going to fight or be overwhelmed. There's not a lot of good information coming in about the Russian-Ukraine war, and that's one thing. But, like... But if you didn't set the shipping in a war zone, and you just had it as sound effects that you could easily patch out as in the distance because there's, like, nondescript booming happening far away, I think you could get away with it. But that's like, when is it insensitive to make a video game depicting a school shooting in America? Is it always inappropriate because we never stop having shootings in America? It's like when people try to say, don't politicize the issue, and I'm like, you have to politicize the issue because the issue is politicized. The only reason it's still happening is because politics is making children die. Like, is making people die because they want political funding that is backed by, you know, gun manufacturers and stuff like that. It's inherently political, and there is no free time in which it is not happening for us to quote-unquote safely talk about it, because it's constantly happening. Because from the other side of things, I think it would be somewhat disrespectful, especially on the part of the Palestinians, or for the part of the Palestinians, if you didn't more accurately represent what that situation looked like as a, we'll just say, an impartial delivery person for trucks in the region. Like, if you didn't show that there was a conflict, that everything was fine, you'd basically be whitewashing the war, right? The long ongoing tragic war.
Get ready to turn right.
Never, because it has the death of children in it. Media will shut it down immediately. Anything where people are currently dying, it is hurtful and insensitive, in my opinion. I mean, Well, then I'm gonna have to give trigger warnings in certain events that happen in the Modern Warfare trilogy if I end up playing that on stream, because there's something that happens in Modern Warfare 1, like 2-3 missions in, that is super fucking insensitive to the point there's a warning screen that says you can skip playing this mission if you want. And then then Call of Duty, to the best of my recollection, kind of made that their thing for several games in a row, where they do some horrific war crime and give you the option of playing it out yourself or not. And that's, I mean, if you boil it down, that's pretty insensitive, right? I think you should be free to make the content, and then people should be free to criticize you for making the content. Oh, 30? Wow, that is a giant hole where there should be road. Why was nobody at that construction site?
Go straight on.
Like, food and stuff still needs to get into the regions. Like, I don't know what the process is, right? Are there not shipments being shipped in Ukraine, in Russia, in Palestine and Israel? Like, there are, right? Commerce is still happening. They're just living in a war zone. They're just living in a... Listen to my privilege talk about how they're just living in a war zone. Oh, like it's no big deal. Which is not what I meant at all, but like totally kind of what it sounded like. If something is recent and current, I don't think it needs to happen. I think for it to be a decent enough time for the Ukrainian war to be shown would be after the current peoples affected this timeline. Well, right, but then that's my argument for Israel-Palestine, right? I don't know exactly when that conflict began, but didn't it begin as a result of World War II? That's 80 years ago, right? There are two or three generations of people that can have been born while that conflict is still happening.
Get ready to turn right.
I'm getting ready to turn right. Sedition. But it's still ongoing and people are still dying over Israel's attempts to take land? Right. I'm not saying that it's not bad and that a war isn't still happening. I'm saying that, as gross as it is, that is the norm there now. Like, for now, that is normal. That is what those people have been living in for a while. So if you were just... I mean, if you're just doing a trucking simulator, you could just transport things as far as you could get them, and your only storytelling would be what products you'd be shipping. Sedition discovered. I don't want to open up a game and see my people in a scene of people being murdered in a setting that I also saw my brother die in. Right. Well, that's kind of what I'm asking is what would be the way that you can get away with, like, how I guess it's not a question of I mean, you could just make a happy version of Israel-Palestine, right? But there isn't a happy version of Israel-Palestine because Palestine is basically an open-air prison. So, what could you do? What is the most generic way of setting yourself in that setting while also not doing a disservice to the people who have died in those sittings? The solution is just to not make the sitting? Well, I mean, where does that get you exactly? I mean, as far as trying to like hypothetically, right? What do you do then for expanding the game? Do you just beef up locations inside of existing Europe? Because you can't go east because that's Russia. You can't go southeast because that's Ukraine. You can't go south because you're just going to hit the Middle East. And then there's just... I don't know. What do we... I mean, I guess you could add Greece, Greenland and Iceland, I guess. What do you think? Why does it have to be a real war? Make it a fake war in U.S. or Canada or Brazil? Hey, recruitment agency.
Turn left.
Well, I am personally hoping that American Truck Simulator does extend all the way down into South America, because that still fits American Truck Simulator. But America's, besides our own wars against ourselves, America hasn't had a war on its own turf, right? I mean, besides the Revolutionary War and the Civil War, and the upcoming next Civil War, like, hold on. Okay, I got the truck dealership. Cool, we're good. And Canada's not having a war. Their nearest neighbor would be us, or their only neighbor would be us.
Keep left and then turn.
Well, like, what do you do about Brazil,
Turn left.
like, lighting their forests on fire and stuff like that? Like, would you model the game so that in the distance there were,
Exit now.
you know, the rainforests were on fire? Because they largely are, and it's a huge deal, right? I think there was enough of a delay, Molly. I wasn't certain which. No, it hasn't. Not. You mean the United States as far as like a war on our own soil? I think that's what you're referring to. It's not real, so the possibilities are endless. Well, right, but then we get into one. I would like an African truck simulator, and two, I would like more stuff like this, where you're like either on a caravan or in a fantasy setting, or more likely that you're dealing with futuristic trucks in a futuristic setting, or more mundane trucks in a futuristic setting, I guess. That would be pretty neat. You could do it in a future that's kind of like Star Trek, and all of the regular wars in the world are all done, so you don't have to worry about whether there's a war going or not. Like, where do you come down on remodeling parts of Europe that are going to be going underwater because of climate change? How much of the game do you change from that? Probably nothing. You probably just wait and do that again in Euro Truck Simulator 3. Like, oh, what flag is that? Is that Germany? Am I dipping my toe into Germany right now? I'm kind of starting to learn flags, but since I don't ever actually like pull up the map and check, it also doesn't help that the map doesn't have the countries named on them normally. Alright, we still got like 10 hours left in this journey.
Keep right and then exit right. Exit
I do need to be
right.
looking for a place to rest soon, though. Oh, whoops. That was my place to rest. Oh, no. Okay.
Okay.
Whoops.
Here we go.
I probably should have pulled over at that point.
Get ready to turn left. Turn left.
Alright. Lonely Road, a road I've never gone down before. Because I'm not necessarily... Because the thing is, on the one hand, you don't want to come off as promoting war, and you also don't want to come across as, like, washing the situation, acting like war isn't happening, which would be the Israel-Palestine situation. And to be technically, I mean, to be fair, Euro Truck Simulator expanding into Russia already doesn't quite work because that's Asia, right? That's not European. That's not Europe as a continent. So if you're already expanding into Russia, you could open up ferry ports and have travel times that took you, like, you could skip all of that and just go to Egypt or other places at the top of Africa, and you could just keep expanding down that way. And you can make Euro Truck Simulator basically be trucking on the eastern continent of the world, like the eastern major landmass, and then American Truck Simulator be the western major landmass. Maybe I'm underthinking it, maybe I'm overthinking it. Driver's coming in with money, I like it. Driver Eva has leveled up. How much time before I need to sleep? 3 hours? Okay, I should reach the next rest area on this road. Well, maybe. Looks like it's gonna be a little ways away. Driver Richard. Couldn't find a job. I don't know. Any other topics, Molly? You want to go back to Sonic the Hedgehog? Hey, 6,000 from Mark. Well, that's a pretty good haul, Mark. If I can get to 100,000, then I can afford another driver and truck. Though I should probably hold on to a little bit of money for a random fine. We can talk about whatever you want. I can also go on Discord for... Oh, Molly. If you want to go on Discord, that would be amazing. All you do is drop into the dialogue tree and you're automatically in. We've never spoken before so I don't even know what you sound like. So, unless I'm totally wrong and we have and I've forgotten, and I apologize if that's happened, but my memory is terrible. Didn't used to be, but it is now. We played Duck Duck Goose together? Like in Booster's lobby? Because that's the only time that's the only time I played, so it would have to be. Well, I apologize, Molly. It has been some time.
It's okay.
Oh, there you are.
Hello. Yeah, we played Duck Duck Goose with Booster.
I am remembering that now, but you know that was an early time of internet stuff, and I'm still in Booster's server, but I don't know. I think when Booster told me that he was telling people not to go to my stream, I was like, I don't know if I want to be here anymore.
Yeah, I don't remember who it was, but we were talking about religion one day, and the person was really aggressive, and you stood up for Booster. Booster is Muslim. You stood up for him, but he left before that, and sometimes he's just hard to convince of things. He doesn't really change his mind when he gets an idea.
Right.
So
Oh,
he
and
kinda did
it
say
was
against
I
his
remember that, and I know who it was. It was Ulrich. And I don't think Ulrich has a problem with me saying that because Ulrich would still defend his position, but he's Ulrich is anti-religious like I was 20 years ago when I think a lot of early atheists, when you first realize you're an atheist, you get really anti-religious for like a few years right after it happens. A lot of them. A lot of us, I should say, because I did the same thing. And I look back at that time and I'm like, yeah, you're an asshole, Hunterman.
Well, I mean, it's a process, but yeah, he was kind of offended by his point, and so he left and didn't get to see that you defended him, saying like, not everyone is like that. So he was kind of like, he thought that you were attacking his point of view, but I have clarified that to him that you weren't, and he was kind of like, oh, okay. And I don't think that he goes around and says like not to go to your stream, but it still makes him feel uneasy.
Oh no, I would imagine Booster doesn't like think about me at all.
Well, I mean, not anymore. His life is so chaotic. He doesn't really think a lot about a bunch of stuff. But he doesn't feel offended by it. You know, like, but he won't change his mind on it. He probably won't come around, but.
Right. He later said to me that because if I let people like that on my stream is basically what he said. If I let people like that on my stream, and I was like, man, I shot him down when it happened, like, and I don't know. It's more to the point where Booster was like, yeah, people would ask me if I would go if I would recommend your stream, and I would have to tell them no because you let those people on. And I'm like, first of all, it was one person. Secondly, you didn't stick around for the defense. And third, like, I don't know what to say at that point. And his other problem was something that which was true, which was me being the type of person I'm trying to avoid being when it comes to being trans, which is I was politely trying to get people to use my correct pronouns, and at one point, somebody who I thought was talking about me and wasn't was using not my pronouns, and I thought they were talking about me, so I corrected them a little loudly, you know, as happens, and they were like, "No, I'm talking about so and so, not you." And everybody remembers that because you always got to remember that moment when the trans person yells at you, like.
Yeah. It was complicated though, because like when we were playing Duck Duck Goose together, nobody used your correct pronouns, like except for me and Kat. So,
And
like,
I think Alex.
Yeah, Alex probably did too. I didn't really play with Alex a whole lot, so I don't remember a lot of those games. I like Alex, but we just I guess on a different schedule, so I don't remember that too well. You know, I did play with him a little bit. Never mind. Took me a second to
Yeah,
remember.
there were two kitties, and there was Alex.
Yeah.
But mainly what ended up happening was my set time for roleplay each week turned into Sunday nights, and that's the only nights anybody was ever getting together to play the multiplayer games. Why did that truck want to pass me and then decide not to pass me?
Fear. He was intimidated.
I mean, I didn't even assert my dominance with my horn. Alright, what time is it? It is almost 4 o'clock in the morning in the game. And I'm not in Scandinavia, so you can tell it's actually dark out. But on the happier topics, I mean, best we were doing before was Sonic. What do you think of my idea of like a Sonic Adventure 4 situation where we just take the tech and make it good instead of doing a gimmick game? Oops. They were just gonna have me drive right past that. She didn't say turn right until I was literally going past that turn.
I like the Sonic Adventure games for what they were during their time. Like, looking back, they were a little bit clunky for what they were supposed to be. Like, I remember a lot of times because, especially Adventure 2 being kind of like the first, like, 3D feel of a Sonic game, when you were supposed to go fast, you kind of got, you know, turned around or like hit an invisible wall because you're going too fast, which kind of defeats the purpose of Sonic, in my opinion. But
yeah, the bad designs of Sonic games, 2D and 3D, is when you try and go as fast as you can, and then you get punished for it.
Exactly, because like there's like a sudden wall that wasn't on the screen, but now you're going too fast to really react to it.
Right, or in 2D Sonic games, it was inevitably you're running so fast, and guess what? From the floor, you couldn't see it before, but now there's spikes. And that happens in, I believe, Sonic Advance 1 and 3, but not 2. I'm trying to remember which one Zamph was talking about, like... Because there's certain 2D Sonic games that are... The way they're designed is that if you're going really fast, you can basically just flow through the level and skip getting damaged by everything, especially if you know the timings for stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's when they're working like they're supposed to.
Now, when you say Sonic Adventure 3, are you referring to Advance? It's on the Game Boy Advance that came out after?
Oh yeah,
Sonic
I'm sorry. I
Adventure
meant
2?
Sonic. I meant Sonic Advance 1 and 3, and then I heard 2 was the one where everything was working like it was supposed to.
Okay. Because they never technically made a Sonic Adventure 3. The developer even said that they had no intention to make a 3. However, I think you mentioned earlier, Sonic Hero was kind of like a 3D version of Adventures, but the Game Boy Advance one was basically an Adventures game. Like, the way that everything was set up, it was basically Adventures. So sometimes people call Advance 3, so I just wanted to clarify. I actually didn't like Advance.
Wait, what was it Sonic? Was it? But wait, hold on. There was a Sonic. What was this? What was the first Sonic game that was not Advance? Like the first one that was on the DS. There were 2 on the DS, right? I don't remember if they both had Blaze or not. I think only one of them did. It's where she gets introduced, right?
I thought it was Sonic. It's either Sonic DS or it's Sonic Colors. I thought.
Well, no. I think Colors was console and handheld.
Was it? Oh man, it's
been
so long.
I don't know my Sonic games like I know like my Mega Man games.
I honestly don't. I didn't play too many DS games.
I have a very small window of not knowing Mega Man games, and it's... Well, not a small window, actually. I take that back. I don't know Legends. I don't really know Battle Network or Zex. Or Star Force. So, there's an entire timeline of Mega Man I don't know about. But hey, Battle Network's getting a collection, so... I'll finally have an opportunity to really play them. That'll be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. Unfortunately, while I played pretty much all of the Sonic games, that happened during a time in my life where I was having really long memory lapses, so I don't remember any of it. Like, if I see it, I can remember it, like, while it's happening, but just off the top of my head, it's almost like I never even played a Mega Man game.
Let's see. I remember the Mega Man games because I didn't play through, like, the first 3 games until 4 was almost out, and that was after I got a Game Genie for Christmas, and that's why I rented and played through those. Good old Game Genie.
Yeah, I didn't have a Game Genie for a really long time, but they are really cool. I think I think Mega Man X3 was my first Mega Man, and then I worked my way backwards. And I think Mega Man X3 is, you know, undeniably the better one in my opinion out of the X series.
I firmly believe that for many, many years, but the number of times I've gone back and replayed them, of those first 3 games, I would narrowly put it behind 1 and 2, and I think 2 is probably my favorite.
It's pretty good. I think 3 is also my husband's favorite, which is why I think that he didn't vote for my favorite game. He voted for his favorite game in the whole.
Well, I mean, let people vote for who they're gonna vote for.
Yeah, but the wife is always right. No, I'm kidding.
The real trick about, for me, Mega Man X3, the part that makes it like lose some points years later in my mind is that there is actually a decent amount of game design in that game that is kind of like anti-Mega Man. Okay, so I can go in here and I can turn around. Cool. Okay, I've discovered this place. Let me just go around these tractor trailers and go back on the road. Okay. Oh no. There's a cement median I didn't see. Suddenly this has become very complex. Okay, I should be able to turn around here. Okay. Like, the chip system is really cool, but if you... Oh no, that's just... Okay, you know what? No, nobody's here to notice, it's fine. There are no real human beings, it's okay. Like, the chip system is really cool, but in order to have the coolest chip, you have to not get any of the chips. And then, in order to get the power armor, you have to get the first power armor that's up underneath the one base, and that unlocks the ability to find the other power armors even if you could have found them already, or at least to utilize them, once you've activated that one system. But then by the time you've done that, there's basically nothing in the game you can use the power armor for. And as far as the rest of the game goes, well, I mean, I like the story, I like the progression, I like the levels and the stuff they do with the C4 chip for all the special effects and extra sprites on screen and stuff. And yeah, all that's really cool, but I think that combined with the weird lag of doing the combined shot from the Mega Buster, or the X Buster I should say, like lowers it. But it's kind of like saying which Marvel movie is the worst, because it's like the worst they get is kind of okay. Like, they don't really get bad. And like the Mega Man X games, the first 3 games, they're all solid games. I just, in the grand scheme of comparing them to each other, ooh, boats out in the harbor. In the grand scheme of comparing them to each other, I don't know. I think I used to really regard 3 very highly. But, oh, and you know what? The janky escape sequence for Sigma, where, like, how you get away from him at the end of the game, does not... I have died to the escape sequence probably more than half the number of escapes I've made from Sigma at the end of the game. Because of the way that the jump mechanics work, and the delay, and having to jump across the wall, and like... I don't know. I like it. I like it, though. It's the next on the Mega Man X Legacy Collection I haven't played, so it means when I play it, I will have massive delay for input, so that'll be great.
Yeah, massive delay is always fun.
Oh man, it is substantial. You saw me playing the first 2 games, right?
Yeah, we watched you play the first couple.
It should not be that hard to do a dash jump. Like, I made it all the way through Mega Man X1 the first time without even knowing that dash jump was a mechanic, as silly as that sounds. I was having the hardest time getting up so right after you if you do get a Buster, from Zero. Like right after that scene with Zero right inside where you defeat Vile for the last time in that game. There's a long vertical shaft that you have to climb up, and the easiest way to get up there is to dash jump across when you're dealing with the guys. And I literally couldn't beat the game, and I just couldn't figure out what to do there. And then like 5 days later, I don't remember where it was. Maybe it was like I read something in a Nintendo Power or something like that. And I realized that pressing jump and dash at the same time results in a quick leaping jump. And I was like, what? Oh no! And then I never had trouble getting that Heart Tank and Storm Eagle ever again.
Forgot to delete that block term. Gonna go ahead and do that.
Oh, not being sus?
Yeah. Sorry. I was never... So I played the Mega Man games, but I was never really, like, as into them as most people tend to be. I'm not really good at games like that. I mean, I absolutely loved Metroid, which I think is pretty similar. I like the idea of games like Celeste, Hollow Knight, all of those, but I am super bad at the 2D ones. I was okay with Sonic just because I found that it was really hard to die unless you hit mobs. Like, I couldn't die to maps, you know?
Yeah, as long as
Like,
you can pick up a ring, you can keep going.
Exactly. So,
It's not like when you get hit in a Mega Man game, like little energy capsules jump out of you or something, you can pick it back up.
Yeah, exactly. Although
Well-
it was kind of easier to play as Zero because you got those little mutation bubbles. I can't remember what they're called. You know when you're...
Turn left.
You know how Zero's infected with that thing, but he can like eat them to heal himself a little bit?
Oh right,
I
because
don't remember the story.
the Sigma virus is the
Yeah.
offshoot of the Zero virus.
Turn left.
So yeah, Zero could absorb them because they're originally his data.
Right. And he
Spoilers
could
for
use a
Mega Man
little
X
bit.
6.
I think so. I think it's 6.
6 is one of my favorites, but also one of the jankiest. That game was not supposed to exist. I don't know if you know that, but Mega Man X6 was the first one that was not supposed to exist.
And then
Oh, I didn't know that. I think that one's one that my husband really likes. He goes back to it often, I believe. I think it's 6. He likes to play those kinds of games, and I will watch him sometimes. He's mostly into like the Warriors series games, like Zelda Hyrule Warriors, Fire Emblem Warriors, One Piece Warriors.
Oh man, if we could get a Mega Man Warriors, that'd be crazy.
I would never see him again. I hope they never make it.
I hope it has crossplay. I'll play with him. It'll be fine.
Oh Lord.
and then exit right.
Yeah. So, I think you probably remember most likely that there was a big gap of time between Mega Man X4 and Mega Man X5.
Turn right.
Mega Man X5 was supposed to be like the send-off to the series. That's why there's so much resolving of Zero's plot and the Dr. Wily stuff, and why the final levels are like the final conclusion to what you deal with Sigma and Wily and all that stuff is so cool. But it sold really well. So they were like, "Oh, we have to make another one." And at that point, the main creator had moved on to make the Mega Man Zero series, which was designed as the sequel series to it. So there's a little timeline incongruous because they keep trying to get the main plot of the Mega Man X games to end, like, to always come back to a conclusion point that doesn't invalidate Mega Man Zero existence. Like, so that's a weird place that the X games have ended up in. I say as we've had 7 and 8 and not 9. And I don't believe I have beaten 7 and 8. Which is part of the reason I wanted to go through the Legacy Collection, because it would give me an excuse, because apparently 7 and 8 being more modern 3D games, or at least running on 3D engines, they run in beautifully crisp resolution and high frame rate, and they don't have any stutters like they did when I originally played them on their original systems. So unlike the sprite-based games, which have like 8 frames of input delay, which doesn't sound like a lot to anybody who's listening, but it is. It's a lot. Unlike those games, the 3D games actually run better than they did before. Why we couldn't have this best of both worlds, I don't know. Why we couldn't have the rewind feature that is in Mega Man Legacy Collection, which is the reason I keep thinking about trying to pick that up, because being able to like set as a save point, like, you know, basically like a save state right inside of the boss door, would be pretty good for playing through those original Mega Man games.
Oh my god, wouldn't it ever?
And I think you can. I think you can just straight rewind at some points too.
Yeah, they have a system like that on the Nintendo Virtual Consoles, which I think is what you're kind of thinking of, where you can save state anywhere, and you're not save stating in the actual game. You're save stating on the Virtual Console. So it doesn't matter. And also, if you do something stupid, you don't like a decision, you can like rewind by like 2 minutes or something.
Oh, that's pretty nice. Yeah, that sounds like what's included in like just the being able to play Legacy Collection for Mega Man, but not X for some reason. I think as far as like actually sat down and beat them, I think the first Mega Man game I beat was like legit without Game Genie. I think it was 4, and I definitely beat 5. Oh wait, no, yes. Or I went back and beat 4. Actually, 5 might have been the first one I beat, and then I went and beat 4. And 6 is kind of like Mega Man X6 in the sense that it was kind of like there wasn't a lot of thought, but there was a lot of technology put into Mega Man 6. Like the way they did the backgrounds different. They had like the sunset that would follow from screen to screen and stuff like that. Really cool. Like that was doing some tech stuff. I definitely beat Mega Man 7. Pretty sure I haven't beaten 8. I beat 9. Not 10, and I still want to play 11 because 11 looks amazing.
Yeah, I don't think that I really beat any of them after I did. I played it 3, 1, 2. I know I did that. I liked 3 so much that I played 1 and 2, but I don't think that I played any about outside of that. Maybe I did play one of the games as Zero, and I love Zero, but I don't remember which one you can play as Zero in.
Well, you can play as him in Mega Man X3, but if he dies, you can't play him again for the whole game. So I would.
Well, I definitely died, so.
I would guess it's not that. The first time they become selectable, X or 0, is 4, and then 5 is the same way. Then 6 you have to unlock 0 because of the way various ways 5 ends. And then I think 7 is 7 where you get to. Is 7 with Axel or is 8 Axel? I think 7's the first time we see Axel, and you start as 0 in Axel, and you have to unlock X. I think that's 7. Or maybe that's 8. I have fuzzy memories of 7 and 8, because I've only helped other people go through them.
I don't remember Axel, so I definitely didn't play whatever game he came from. 7, you said?
Yeah, it was either 7 or 8.
Exit right.
Axel is the new blood young character that is introduced to the series, and he becomes the 3rd selectable character.
I see.
Do you ever play Mega Man X Command Mission? Because I really like Mega Man X Command Mission.
I don't think I did, no.
Maybe I should put that on my birthday poll list. I don't know if I'm in the mood for a JRPG, especially when because the thing is, I want to play the Mega Man X games in order, but canonically, I don't think Command Mission actually counts. Even though I really like it. I remember liking it. I remember having a good time with it. Oh, hey, I'm almost at my destination. Huzzah. We're near Erzeburg. or however you say it.
According to Google, it takes place in another continuity, so it's not technically canon.
Well, since
But
it's
it
the
doesn't
since it's the only game that happens in its continuity, that would make it non-canonical because it doesn't. I mean, there are no other games that are in its continuity, so.
Right. They took a lot of, according to Google anyway, I didn't play that game. They took a lot of creative liberties with like the X series history in that game. So I'm not entirely sure it would be able to even tie into the X series.
Yeah, the main trick about Command Mission is that, canonically speaking, if it were to be canonical, it would have to happen after the events of Mega Man X8, which I don't think was out yet. I think it happens. I think it releases between 7 and 8, and then also, it kind of like it. I think because it's set in. I think they say that it happens in 23XX, which is the time period of Mega Man 0. So that means it automatically conflicts with the Elf Wars that predate the story events. I'm sorry, did I go the wrong way? I did. Oh well. It's just one extra turn, really. I kind of messed that up. I could do a 3-point turn and turn around, but like, it's fine. Because it's really muddy, the transition from X to 0, and the longer we have more Mega Man games, like I kind of wish that we could do like a Mega Man 12 and kind of like end that type of gameplay, and not end it completely, but be like, okay, this is actually a story, and this is like, can we at least see X being built? Like, can we get to the point where the Mega Man is X? Because we never established why Mega Man isn't around in the like, he's a robot. You could just keep refreshing him, right? Like, why isn't he around in the time of X? Something has to happen to him. And what happens when the Earth is without a protector for like 30 to 50 years? I presume he kills Dr. Wily, actually. He probably kills Dr. Wily, and then, 3 laws go into effect and he shuts down. That's how I imagine it happens. Either intentionally or not intentionally, he makes the decision, he breaks his programming, he kills Dr. Wily, and then he can't exist because as a robot he's not allowed to make that decision, so he has to take himself out, which is a super dark ending, but like, what else are you going to imply happens? Like, that's the thing that makes the most sense.
Turn right, and then turn left.
Oop, did I lose you?
Turn left.
I'm here.
Turn left.
Are
okay.
you talking to me? Sorry, I'm trying to process it because, like, again, I didn't really keep track of the story, so I'm trying to remember what happened. But that makes the most sense, I think, for a Mega Man standpoint.
It was a nice.
I don't see why he would kill Wily though. Because I didn't play the games after 3, so I really don't know.
Well, I mean, because it's did you see the movie I, Robot?
Yeah.
Well, the logical conclusion of the three law safe situation is what happens with Vicky in that movie. She determines that humans are just going to keep hurting themselves unless she steps in and stops them, and that's kind of the situation with Dr. Wily. Dr. Wily, excluding the anime cutesiness of it, we have to assume he's hurting people with all his robot masters going crazy all the time, or purposely destroying things. So if that's happening, then the only way to make sure everybody stays safe is to basically supersede the 3 laws by abiding by them. Where you go, I'm making this decision that this human no longer existing saves the life of more humans. That's basically the end result. So, and also because otherwise, Dr. Wily probably transfer his brain into something and keep living, or something like that. Like, he seems like a guy who'd keep going on. I have reached the end of this recording, Molly. Are you ready for an outro?
Sure.
This has been Euro Truck Simulator 2, presented by Improvision Entertainment. I have been Hunterman,
I'm Molly.
and we will see you in the future.
Bye, YouTube.